Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. Today, I thought we would make that blueberry cheesecake I've been talking about. I finally found what I think is a good recipe. It's really hard to find a blueberry cheesecake that has blueberries in it. There are some out there, obviously, but most of them just has a standard cheesecake with blueberry topping. But I thought we'd give this a shot, and that way we can see if it tastes good, and if it does, we'll use it with the blueberry cakes I made a couple weeks back and do a 3-layer cake is what I'm hoping for. And of course, we won't have to go through detailed each process because it'll be each cake revisited. But this one is, this is just kind of a standard cheesecake with blueberries in it, and then this particular one has blueberry topping also, which we'll make today. We're going to do a crust on this one. When we make it for the other cake, it will not have a crust. And then, but we'll take it from there. If you're new, welcome. Glad you came. If you are coming back, we will be welcome. Sorry. I was getting a phone call from my pharmacist. But if you're coming back, you're glutton for punishment. But I'm glad you're here all the same. Same rules apply as always to comments. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely help put us out into people's feeds. Gets the neighborhood growing stronger every day. Subscribe. Absolutely subscribe. If you're new, give me a shot. Subscribe. Worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. But that being said, one other thing I've been working on today here I want to show you real quick, and then I'll get the camera down to where you can see what we're doing next. As always, I'll give you measurements in cups and grams, and then in milliliters if it's a liquid. Because using a scale is important, and knowing your grams is helpful. But Abby's birthday is coming up this Saturday, and we're making the cake for it. And this is stage 1 of a absolutely wonderful Belle cake. Belle, the princess from Disney, that's what she wants this year. And if I can find one, I will put a picture in of the Little Mermaid one we did a couple years back for it. But let me get the camera down here and we'll get started on this cheesecake. All right, hold on with me 1 second. Okay, so down here on the counter, things you will need for this that will be helpful. A scale, for sure. A bowl, for sure. A 9-inch spring-form pan. Spring forms are oh so important when making cheesecakes. If you have every intention of making more than one, well, if you're thinking about making one, get you a spring-form pan. And I recommend you get one that sits like that, so it wraps around it and has a lot. They're considered no leak. They do leak, but not nearly like the other ones possibly can. That's my oven going off, which leads me to my next comment. Let's go ahead and preheat our oven to 325 degrees all the way around. I'm going to take some butter and I'm going to coat this real quick so we can put our crust in it. Okay, we got our spring form coated with butter. We can just set it aside for a moment. Set that down right there. So first thing we have to do, make our crust, right? So we need 1.5 cups or 170 grams of graham crackers, which is like a sleeve and 2 graham crackers ish. It will really just depend on whose graham crackers you buy, how fresh they are, they stale, whatever it takes. And we're going to put them in a food processor. If I can find the lid, I will be happy. I'll be right back. I gotta find the lid. Okay, found the lid. 170 grams, about a package and 2 graham crackers worth. And we gotta shred these down into, we're gonna break these down into a fine crumb. And all you're gonna do is just pulse your food processor a few times. If you don't have a food processor, it's okay. You can put them in a freezer bag and use a rolling pin or a hammer or whatever you have available and crush them up. We just want them crushed up. This is the quickest way for me. So now that we've got our graham crackers processed here, smashed up, broke up into a million little pieces. Here, I'll show you what I mean by finer particles. I mean, you may have some like larger pieces in there, but see how that's just got a nice, like, not quite sand, but small pebbly look to it. That's kind of what you're looking for. Now you have a couple different ways you can do this. You can leave everything in the food processor and use it. I prefer not to. I prefer to mix my other ingredients in by hand. So I'm going to go ahead and dump in my graham cracker crumbs. Now you can buy store-bought graham cracker crumbs also, but they don't taste as good, I don't think. And to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of white sugar, just plain old regular granulated sugar, and let me look to make sure. 2 tablespoons, 30 grams of white granulated sugar, and then I've got 1 very packed tablespoon of brown sugar, and it weighs 28 grams. All right, and you want to make sure it's just smashed down, or if you have a scale, just weigh it out. It's 28 grams. So we're gonna put that in there, and we're just gonna take a whisk. We're just gonna get this nice and straightened up there, like such. And then we're going to take our butter, which is 5 tablespoons or 73 grams of melted butter, and we're going to pour that in there. And then I'm going to go grab a glove real quick and mix that up. Okay, sorry about that. Again, not very prepared, I guess. And I'm just going to mix this up by hand, and then we want to get all the graham crackers touched with the butter. Now that we've got that all coated in butter, see how now it looks more like granules, like cornmeal almost. That's what we're looking for. Every piece is touched. What that's going to do is it's going to seal that graham cracker, and we'll heat it up, make sure it's thoroughly melted in there, and then we will let it cool. It'll all solidify and become one again. Alright, so we're just going to take our springform pan, get this stuff out of the way. We'll put our graham cracker mix here in the bottom, just like such. We're going to spread it out even. Be 1 thick graham cracker crust. Now in the original recipe, she had this going up the sides. I am not going to do that. It's nice on some New York style cheesecakes, but I'm not a fan of the crust going up the side. That's just me personally. So we get that pressed down in there. Then once we think we got it good enough, we will grab a mug. In this case, because I don't own a flat bottom cup. All my cups are either rounded at the bottom or have a hump in the bottom of it, or nothing flat. So I just usually use the side of a coffee mug. Bob Ross usually gets the raw end of the deal most of the time. But you want to press this down firm. Alright, I think we got that down pretty firm now. So all we have left to do is put this bad boy in the oven. The oven's already up to temp, 350 degrees. And we'll put it in there for about 8 minutes. 8 to 10 minutes. You just want to see a light golden brown on the top of the crust, and it's done. So 8 to 10 minutes. When I come back, we'll start making the filling. Alright, got the crust out of the oven. It's over on the cooling rack, and I turned my oven down to 325 degrees, which is what we're going to bake our cheesecake at. So let's get down here to the counter and we'll start baking cheesecake. So we're back down to the counter. I am using my stand mixer. You don't have to. You can use a bowl and a hand mixer if you'd like, and do it that way, but I have one, so why not? Alright, so first thing we're going to put in here. This morning I sat out 3 blocks, 24 ounces, 8 ounces each, of cream cheese, so that way it can get to room temperature. It's important your cream cheese is warm. If it's not, you'll end up with chunks of cream cheese in your cake. Yeah, so get it out early, let it set for, a couple, 2, 3 hours. You can even pull it out the night before if you're making it in the morning. It's just that important that it's warm. That way you have it helps with your nice smooth cake. To that, we're going to add 150 grams, 3/4 cup of just regular plain old granulated white sugar. We're going to put that in there, and then we're going to mix this for about 3 to 5 minutes. We want to make sure everything is completely incorporated and smooth, but we don't want to take this above medium high. On my stand mixer, it'd be like 4 to 6. I'll probably kick it right at 4 for the longest, and then kick it to 6 near the end, because you don't want to put a bunch of air into it. Same with your hand mixer. I know mine it'd be like 2 to 3. All right, I'll be right back when I get done mixing this. So we let this run for about 3 minutes. My cream cheese was really warm, so I knew it wouldn't take long to get it to put together. Now, by really warm, I mean all room temperature all the way through. But it's about 75 in our house. That's what we keep it at all the time. Although the oven's on, so it might be 77-ish in the kitchen, which by kitchen standards is warm. If we get the opportunity to build our kitchen in the basement, not a high-end fancy kitchen, but a nice kitchen, we will have a more controlled temperature in the room for baking. Alright, so we got that. Set that to the side for a second. Give it a good once through. Scrape the edges, scrape the sides, make sure everything's mixed up. Now, when you're mixing, you want to stop every so often, a minute or so, and just give it a good scrape on the sides. Check out that dead spot in the center of the bowl. All mixers have that. Even if you're using a hand mixer, you want to do that. Alright. So the next thing we got to add to this is, is a 1/2 cup of sour cream, right? Which, if my memory serves me right, is 32 grams. But if it's not, that's not right. I'll put it down here and let you know what the correct one is. I'm pretty sure it's 32. I'm trying to do some of these from memory. And I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon, liberal teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. And then we're just going to combine those. We're going to mix it till everything disappears and becomes one. Alright, we got that in there. Now I'm not going to turn my mixer off. I'm just going to turn it on stir. I've got 3 large eggs, also room temperature. Dairy should always be a room temperature, so should your poultry. Alright, I'm going to put them in one at a time and just go until they disappear. Okay, I got my last egg in. We are mixed. Remember, we're not mixing anything on higher speed. Medium, low. So last thing we got to do is just give our bowl a good scrape, and then we're done with our mixer. So give this a good scrape, and then here, as soon as I get the mixer and everything out of the way, we will incorporate the last ingredient. Got everything put away, and almost everything put away. We got this stirred, so now what we need is 2 cups of blueberries. When you measure them out, use this cup. I just have it in this because it holds 2 cups. And the recipe calls for fresh blueberries, but here's the lowdown on that real quick. You don't have to use fresh blueberries. The reason why they tell you that, use fresh blueberries, and see how those are wet? They're wet with juice. Fresh blueberries aren't. So, but for this I'm using frozen. You can use either. If you use frozen, make sure they are completely thawed. Just let them thaw in a strainer, that way any excess juice falls off of it. And I'll tell you why as I'm pouring the mix. We're going to fold these into the batter. All right, this is the last thing we got to do to the batter. The reason why they don't want, most recipes call for fresh and not frozen, is if they're not completely thawed, they will make whatever you're making runny. It'll add water to whatever you put them in. So you want them thawed. That way any excess juice and water from the freezing process gets off of them. But, I don't know if you can see it in there really well. There's purple stripes in my cheesecake. So, if you didn't want, that's the reason why they tell you to use fresh, because it won't do that. I've used frozen blueberries in several recipes, and I can't recall a time that I've ever seen noticeable stripes. Now, if I sit here and hammer this and not fold it in, yeah, your batter's going to be purple. Now, what does that do to your batter? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It just turns it purple. That's all. It doesn't taste any different. So by the time we get done making our batter, our crust is cooled down. Now, here's where it gets kind of interesting, I think. Because this recipe called for the crust to be all the way up the sides, where I'm not doing it that way. So, I have to ask myself, the fact that this cake does not get water bathed, is it going to affect the bake because they don't have the crust all the way up the sides? You know, are there, you know, now of course I'll pay attention to it, it's a new recipe, but, you know, what's it going to do? You know, is it going to brown, harden, cook quicker? You know, we'll find out. My pan, which I think I said is buttered, in case I didn't say that earlier. And get that in there. So now that we've got this on here nice and even, like such, we are going to give it a good couple taps just to make sure we don't have any air bubbles in there. And then I'm going to put this in the oven at that 325 degree mark. So the directions call for this to be baked at 325 for 45 to 50 minutes. Now I know with this oven, in my case, it takes almost the full spectrum of time. But we're not water bathing this. There's no roasting pan, there's no water, no nothing. We're just going to put this in the oven in the center. Halfway through that 45 to 50 minutes, I am going to take my pan and I am going to turn it 180 degrees so I know I get an even bake. I am also going to, I almost said "alsely," and I used to say that all the time, that's not a real word. I'm also going to take a cookie sheet and put it on the bottom rack. That way, if it does happen to leak, drip over, or anything like that, there'll be something to catch it. Those 3 cakes in there, I didn't do that. Filled 1 too full of batter because there is no instructions on those. And it overflowed into the center hole and went all over my oven. So anyhow, in the oven, 350 degrees, rotating halfway through, 45 to 50 minutes. I will see you on the other side. So the timer just went off. Let's go down here and get the cake out of the oven so that way I can show you what it is we are looking for. Oh, sorry for the horrible camera work, but I am looking at it backwards. So what we're looking to do, get this over here, is we're going to shake it and see how it's solid around here, a little jiggly in the center. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out and just set it on a rack. This breaks every law I've come to know in the world of cheesecake baking. Now, I've made a couple cheesecakes that didn't require a water bath. That's nothing new, really. But I can't tell you the last time I read a recipe where we took it straight from the oven out. That can lead to cracking, but we'll see. That's what the recipe says, so that's what we'll do. I personally would think that you'd want to leave it with the door cracked for a half hour first and then bring it out, but we will play by the rules. So what we're going to do after this, we're going to let this sit for a couple hours at room temperature, right? And then I'm going to put a piece of saran wrap over the top and I'm going to put it in the fridge. 6 hours minimum. So basically we're gonna put it in there overnight. But what we do still have to do is make the blueberry topping that goes on top of this, because it also has to refrigerate. So I'm going to get this out to the dining room and get stuff set up to make the blueberry topping. And we'll make it real quick so we can get it in the fridge with this. And then when, tomorrow, 3 minutes later for you, we will try some blueberry cheesecake. So that being said, I'll get this over here, get things set up so we can get our sauce made. All right, be right back. All right, so we got the cheesecake out. It's cooling, right? So now let's go ahead and get the topping made, because the topping's gonna have to go in the fridge also until it firms up. And that's, you're talking about 6 hours minimum, just like cheesecake, minimum 6 hours, preferably overnight. So let's go ahead and get it made real quick, and then that way we can, next step will be assembly and trying a piece. All right, hold on, let me get this camera down here. So we're down here at the stove, medium-sized pot, sauce pot, heavy bottom preferred. The problem with the thin bottom ones is they have a tendency to burn, because you'll get hot spots in them really quick. So for the most part, cooking and baking, you want something that's heavy bottom. As far as pots go, stock pots, sauce pots, things like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and get this kicked on, because we're going to get ready to get busy here in a second. First thing we're going to put in this sauce pot, sauce pot, is a 1/4 cup, 50 grams of just regular white granulated sugar. And in here I also have 1 tablespoon, 10 grams of cornstarch. I just went ahead and threw them in the same container to save me a ditch. We're going to put that in our stock pot, just like that, our sauce pot. Put that into our pot. Let's just call it a pot. And we'll take a whisk and just combine those real quick. Just like such. Then, the next thing we are going to put in here is a 1/4 cup of water. Sorry, I paused for a second. 1/4 cup of water, a tablespoon of lemon juice. And we're going to go ahead and give that a whisk. Get that up, and we got our pot warming up. Now, as far as what temperature to have this on, you want it on a medium low. We're gonna cook our topping on a medium low. Get that in there, and then we only got one thing left to put in there, and that is the blueberries. Save the best for last. And for this completely, you'll want 3 cups of blueberries. All right, once again, using frozen. And you're gonna put half of them in here, about 1.5 cups worth of blueberries in there. And then we'll save the other half to top the cheesecake with. So, hold on for me 1 second, let me set these down. Alright. So all we gotta do with these is, sorry, I'm about as prepared as I come today. All we gotta do is give these a good occasional stir. We're looking for this to thicken up and turn into like a jam. Is what we're looking to do. So it will start bubbling, it'll start thickening up and look like a jam. And stir. Don't sit here and whip it into a frenzy, but keep it moving as it's heating up, and as it's heating, or things will start sticking to the bottom, I guarantee it. Okay, so we're down to where we have thickened up, we've turned clear. See how it's clear now, and it was not clear before, it should have been like a milky white. So we're going to take this off the oven, or off the stove top, you don't want it on that burner anymore, and we're going to let this cool. So what I'll do is, I'm going to take this bowl right here, I'm going to transfer this into this bowl, I'm going to let it sit on the counter for about a half hour and cool down, and then I'll put some plastic wrap on it, and put it in the fridge. So the next time you see me, which will be tomorrow for me and a millisecond for you, we'll go ahead and put everything together, and we'll get the cake out of the pan, put everything together, and try a piece. All right, I'll see you here in just a second. Well, good morning, guys. So we let our cheesecake sit in the fridge overnight, along with our topping. So now all we got left to do is get it out of the springform pan, put the topping on it, not necessarily in that order, and try a slice. So let's go ahead and get onto that. What do you say? Let me get the camera moved down and we'll see what we can get into. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, there we are. And all we got left to do is, first thing we're going to do is take the saran wrap off. Right now, if this is your first cheesecake video with me ever, you notice the saran wrap was down on the cheesecake. And that's because as it finishes cooling in the fridge overnight, condensation, moisture will come up, and you don't want it to sit on, hit the top of the saran wrap, the top here, because then the minute you move it off, all that water will go down onto your top of your cheesecake. And I mean, I suppose you could tap it off. It's just easier if you put the saran wrap directly on top of your cheesecake. So after we get the saran wrap off of it, we're just gonna take our knife and we're gonna run it around the edge. Now I'm gonna show you this before I go too much further. If you can see how it's already separated around from the edge? That's a good thing. That's what you want. They naturally shrink as they cool, but we want to make sure that our crust is off the edge there, where we want it to be. Yeah, as much as possible. I mean, in this case, presentation isn't everything. Although it's some things. Yeah, I mean, you still want to try to make it look pretty, but ultimately, we're not selling this cake. We're just eating it. So we got that done. Now we're just gonna flip our spring like such, remove that, and there is our cheesecake in all its fame and glory. And I guess I should have just ran the crumb up the side and ended up going up the side anyhow, as I brought the knife around. That's all right. All right, so to plate this and to get it off of this pan, you're gonna need a spatula of some sort, and you're just gonna go in between the pie pan or the springform pan and your cheesecake, and get it till it moves just like that. And then we'll slide it onto the new plate. It's new home. Fix that a little bit. Set that in the sink. And then all we have left to do is take our berry mixture that we made, which is quite chilled. And I don't think I told you, could be wrong, but remember we had 3 cups of blueberries going into this, and we only put 1.5 cups into the pot. Well, once I went off camera and I realized that as I was putting it in this container, I hadn't actually finished the process. So you needed one more thing. You needed to do 2 more things. To your hot berry mix, you wanted to add 1 tablespoon of butter, which is like 13 grams, 15 grams. And you wanted to add the other 1.5 cups of blueberries. Remember, I said we needed 3 cups total, but we were only putting half in. The other half we just put into our mix and let it chill with it. That way we had some firm, fresh blueberries and we had some cooked blueberries. So, but that is pretty much all there is to making this wonderful blueberry cheesecake according to the recipe. And right there, here we go. I think it looks amazing. I know I can smell the blueberries even over my coffee, and this is going to be the best breakfast ever other than having coffee. So the next thing we'll do is grab a plate, like such. And I thought I had a knife in here. I'll be right back. I need to go find a knife. Okay, I got the knife. All we got to do is cut us a piece. Now, I'm not going to have a giant piece because it is breakfast time. And I don't know how well we want to have a sweet quite like this for breakfast. Alright, so it might be a little bigger piece than I planned. Get that cut. once again, I need to get a pointier serving spoon. Come to that conclusion. Because I always seem to not get the tip. But that's alright. And there we are. Oh, let me get you up so you can maybe see it a little better. There we go. Alright. It's got lots of ooey gooey blueberry in it. And of course, I lost the tip of it. As always, not sure if it's the knife. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed, but the tip of my knife is missing. And I think that wreaks havoc when I go to cut that first piece of cake. So, I think it looks beautiful. Hey, it does. I mean, it looks stunning. Here, I'll let you have the first bite. What do you say? There you go. Oh, yeah. I know. It just screams unhealthy, doesn't it? That is one creamy cheesecake. Which I had no doubt of. I knew it'd be creamy. The key to a creamy cheesecake is making sure everything is room temperature. That cream cheese is room temperature. Wow. That is really good. It almost tastes like a breakfast bar. I really like this cheesecake. And it's firm, which is important. We need a firm cheesecake. That way, when we put it in between the 3 layers, or in between the 2 layers of regular cake, it'll hold. You want it to hold. Yeah, if it doesn't, you're in trouble. Because what will happen is the top layer of cake, if it's too heavy, it'll smash the cheesecake and it'll squirt out the sides. But I like that. This was an easy cheesecake to make. Very easy. It required no water bath, minimal ingredients, not a lot of prep time. You know, the only thing you had to set out was a few eggs and some cream cheese. Everything else just kind of folded together. Give this a shot, hands down. Let me know if you do, because you won't be disappointed. If you like blueberries and you like cheesecake, this is definitely a cheesecake for you. So, but yeah, for sure, let me know if you try this. Let me know what you think about it. If you do try it, you know, definitely tell me what you think. And yeah, that's it. So next week, I have no clue what we're gonna do yet, but I'm sure we will cook and bake something. That's what we do, you know. That way, you know, yeah, sure. Anyhow, I know we're going to cook and bake something. I was trying to think if there was something I had in the agenda, and I'm sure there is. Thanks to all my friends that have put ideas on Mr. Smith's Kitchen Facebook group. You know, I have an endless supply of desserts and main dishes to do. So we'll pick something for next week and give it a shot. I'm sure it'll be fun and exciting, you know, either way it goes. So until then, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart and with the utmost sincerity. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. Make one of these cheesecakes and give some to a neighbor. You know, they'll know that you are a kind, caring person. I guarantee it. You know, and it's a good conversation starter. This would be great at a party. It looks good. It tastes fantastic. And it's easy to make. So until next week, I love you. Stay safe. And I'll talk to you then. All right?